So imagine you live in Russia and you get a call that suddenly asks you, what do you think about Putin? I mean, what is your first reaction as a Russian person who probably lived in the Soviet Union, right? You're scared. Someone's listening. Who is it really public opinion, or is it the FSB or something? So who is listening? Who is going to record? Who is recording this? Where is this data going to land? This was the issue that I had with public opinion polls. I did not believe them 100%. And that's why I wanted to test them in an environment that provides a certain degree of anonymity that actually allows a lot of people to express their opinions, even though there are a lot of initiatives in Russia right now to prosecute people on the internet and find out their IP addresses and convict them for something that they do online. But it's still social networks is still relatively free in Russia, and a lot of people enjoy this kind of anonymity and still post a lot of things that they would not say to Levada pollster, for example. And that's why I wanted to actually research social networks, because I realized that they have a lot of potential to show me what people would not necessarily say to an interviewer. What I can see from my data is that the intensity of anti-Ukraine statement is going down. At the same time, there were very surprising findings by several projects that found out that a lot of people would not want to see a Ukrainian as part of their family. So they would not want their kids to marry Ukrainians or their relatives to marry Ukrainians. But this was the data from 2014, so that 2015, so at the height of the Ukraine crisis. Right now, I think that the sentiment will go down and it will be replaced by something else. So depending on how the events progressing in the U.S. and what the Trump administration is going to bring to the Russian-American relations, that will probably also contribute to the sentiments that Russians experience towards Ukrainian. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that the kind of, I would call it discursive weapons of mass destruction. So it's something that was used by Russian mass media to describe Ukrainians. This is a very toxic weapon. And people, unfortunately, will still hang on to this kind of constructs that were used during the Ukraine crisis that they heard on TV or on social networks. And I'm afraid that this kind of rift is a long-term one. And it will probably take political will on both sides to get over the conflict. And I think that it also depends on what is happening with Crimea. I know that a lot of Russians are very happy that Crimea is Russian again. So this is reunification narrative that was perpetuated by the Russian government. And it reminds me actually of something that I experienced when I was a kid, and that you felt like, why was actually Crimea Ukrainian? It was Khrushchev who gave it to Ukraine. So, why shouldn't we take it back? So this was something that I felt like when I was 10. But, and this is something that a lot of people still feel like, that Crimea should belong to Russia because it has always been Russian. And this is something that does not make sense to me. Because if it was, you had international agreements, you had a lot of negotiations that revolved around the breakup of the Soviet Union. And if Crimea was part of Ukraine, it should stay part of Ukraine. But unfortunately, I don't think that this is feasible in the current situation in Russia to promote the narrative that Crimea can actually go back to Ukraine. So I don't think that this is feasible to see that Ukraine will regain its territory back. And I don't think that I know I sound very pessimistic, but I think that it's almost impossible to persuade Russian public opinion that Crimea is not necessary to Russia anymore. And I think that Putin actually sees this as one of his crowning achievements, that he actually brought Crimea back to Russia. And I think this is, as one of his primary achievements, he would be very, reluctant to let it go, even if it might be a bargaining chip in negotiations with Ukraine.